As our story opens today, there is a great deal of excitement in Frostbite Falls. Excitement that seems to center about today's issue of the daily paper, the Picayune Intelligence.
Say, this is news, Caleb.
And we better do something about it.
Yes, even in Frostbite Falls, the citizens respond to the challenges of the outside world and its geopolitical machinations.
Geopolitical macros, my eye. I'm talking about the annual flower show.
But, sir, those front page headlines.
Don't mean a thing. The Picayune Intelligence has had the same front page for 15 years.
The same front page?
Why not? It's always the same stories. Cold War continues, plane crashes, world tensions.
But inside, that's local stuff. That's interesting.
Frostbite Falls dog chases Frostbite Falls cat over Frostbite Falls fence. Frostbite Falls boy meets Frostbite Falls girl.
Just fraught with interest, ain't it?
But for real heart-tugging suspense, look at this.
Wowee! The annual Frostbite Falls Flower Fair and Plant Pageant will be held in the high school gymnasium today.
First prize, a trip for two to glamorous Wichita, Kansas. How about that, Bullwinkle?
It's gonna play the dickens with my hopscotch schedule.
Bullwinkle, you mean you don't have a flower ready to enter?
Rock, I don't even have one ready to come up.
It was true. Bullwinkle had been so busy being a TV hero that he had no chance to tend his little garden. The flowers were in terrible shape.
I think they've lost the will to live.
Then it's too late to plant anything now.
Well, let's take your flower to the show anyway.
So bearing Rocky's entry, a checkered begonia, our heroes started down the Old Ox Road seeking horticultural splendor.
Not me. I just want a big flower.
A big flower? Did I hear you said a big flower?
No, I said horticultural splendor.
Not you, him.
Oh.
Sure, I want to grow a big flower.
Well, are you ever in love?
I am?
Certainly. You see before you in the living natural color flesh the greatest seed seller in the world.
A seed seller?
That anything like a salt cellar?
Say, what's your name, mister?
Allow me to introducing myself. Pete McMoss, President, Worldwide Seed Company.
Pete McMoss?
And hello, Scope, Pete McMoss. This is my assistant, Ivy C. Hall.
Hello, darling.
What's the C for?
Covered?
Ivy-covered halls. Yeah, her I've heard of.
That voice. Where have I heard that voice?
Rock, that was me.
Oh, yeah.
And here is the answer to all your problems.
That's just one seed.
One seed?
One seed?
You notice kind of an echo in here?
My dear Moose, this seed is a direct descendant from the original Jack's beanstalk.
It is?
Certainly. Look here. You remember how in the old story Jack planted the magic beans and they grew clean up to the sky?
And there was a giant's castle?
And the mean giant chased Jack?
And he cut down the beanstalk and destroyed the giant.
And lived happily ever after.
Why are you crying?
I hate happy endings. Well, this is a seed from that very same beanstalk. Plant it and you'll be able to grow a bean blossom as big as your head.
That'd win first prize for sure. Okay.
Bullwinkle, I don't like this.
How come?
I got a feeling something bad's gonna happen.
Well, look on the bright side of it, Rock.
What?
We got a whole new plot started already.
True enough, and we'll see it begin to thicken next time in 4 for the Show or 2 Pairs of Plants.
A very long time ago in a far-off land to the east, there lived a very rich and powerful sultan. Every year on his birthday, the people flocked to his palace with gifts. Now, as it happened, a young rug salesman from another land who did not know of this custom chanced to come into the town that day in hopes of selling his rug. As he passed the palace, it was naturally thought that he was just another peasant bearing a gift to the sultan and was quickly ushered inside.
Ah, what have we here? A rug. How nice.
But being a second-hand rug, it had a hole in it, and when the sultan saw this, he was furious.
By the beard of my mother-in-law, how dare you bring me a rug with a hole into it?
Well, it's a small hole, Booby. It's a little teeny one. But if it bothers you, I can let you have it for half price. What do you say?
At this, the Sultan flew into such a rage that he was unable to speak. This unfortunate circumstance had placed the young man's life in serious danger, and realizing his mistake...
What a really nice highness you are. You certainly can't take a joke.
Joke?
Well, of course, Booby. As a gift, this is much more than just a small rug with a large hole in it. You knew that all the time, of course.
I did?
Yes, of course you did.
Oh, yeah, I did. Of course. What is it?
Get this, Big Daddy. It's a flying carpet.
Say, this is the finest gift I've ever received. And you know, I'm so pleased that I'm going to reward you handsomely. But first, I'm going to fly my carpet.
The young lad, of course, knew that the old rug would not fly, but before he could stop him, the Sultan ran to the highest wall of the palace, sat on the rug, and pushed himself over the side.
So, treacherous one, a flying carpet, eh?
The unfortunate lad was quickly seized and thrown into the palace dungeon. It was that afternoon that the Sultan's beautiful daughter, while picking flowers in the garden, happened to look in through the bars of cell 32 and saw the young man.
My, what a handsome you are. What are you in for?
A very short time, sweetie. Tomorrow I get beheaded, like Chop, you know, because I didn't bring your father a flying carpet.
If I help you escape, you could find the flying carpet and make Daddy happy so we could be married. Am I rushing things?
I thought you'd never ask, baby. What's the fiendish plan?
Wasting no time, the princess hurried to the royal kitchen where she baked a cake with a pick in it. Taking it to the waiting lad, he was able to eat the cake and dig himself out of the dungeon in less than an hour. Running into the city, he entered the first rug shop he saw.
Quick, Yasha, give me a flying carpet.
What color?
How about blue?
We got no blue ones.
All right, give me a red one.
No, we got no red ones either. In fact, we don't have any flying carpets at all.
Why didn't you say so?
You didn't ask me. How about a throw rug?
The lad went to every rug shop he could find. He found one carpet that could crawl, two that could bounce, another that could swim, but not a single one that could fly. Finally, in a last desperate effort, he went to a fortune teller.
I gaze into my crystal ball.
You do that.
I see that you will meet a tall, dark stranger with an axe.
That I already know. But can you tell me, please, where can I find the flying carpet?
What color?
Never mind what color. Just one that flies like Skysville.
Here, try this one.
Okay. Up, up, and away, fly carpet, fly.
But alas, nothing happened.
What are you, a spy from Hanna-Barbera? This thing won't fly.
Of course not. You don't believe in that magic jazz, do you? We've got to put a little something in it to make it fly.
Something like what?
Like this.
So saying, the fortune teller held forth a large jar of buzzing bees.
Bumbling bees?
Of course. Just sew them into the lining of the carpet, and when they fly, the carpet will fly. Simple.
The lad was not too sure, but he had no choice, for his time was running out. Taking the carpet and the jar of bees, he raced back to the palace and returned to his cell. There he spent the rest of the night sewing bees into the lining of the carpet. And when he was taken before the Sultan...
Father, wait! You cannot doom him!
You want to bet?
But he now has a flying carpet that will really fly with you. You do, don't you?
I certainly hope so, baby.
Let me see.
Hoping for the best, the lad released the carpet. When the bees flew, so did the carpet. Upon seeing this, the Sultan was so delighted that he immediately gave the lad his freedom. Thus, the young man and the princess were soon married and, of course, lived happily ever after. The Sultan flew on his carpet every day, and even though the bees in the lining stung him time and time again, he was happy too.
Ooh! Ouch! Ooh! Like ow!
After all, the carpet was a gift, and even the Sultan knew that the bee's stings in life are free. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
last episode, the Frostbite Falls Flower Fair was upon us, and Bullwinkle and Rocky found themselves without a plant to enter. This was very embarrassing.
Naturally. You try walking through town without your plants sometime.
But they were stopped on the road by a pair of sharpers.
Say the name.
Who shall be nameless.
Fooey.
Who offered them a bean guaranteed to be descended from Jack's original beanstalk.
Bullwinkle, I'd think twice about this if I were you.
If you were me, you'd have to think twice. There'd be two of you.
Well, Flatlander, is it a deal?
Does that bean grow fast?
Just stick it in the ground and jump back.
How much you asking for it?
Well, I'm asking $100.
$100?
But I'll take 2 bits cash.
That's more like it.
And so our unsuspecting heroes bought the bean and set off for the flower fair and plant pageant.
Gee, I can hardly wait. Just think, a bean blossom as big as my ever-loving blue-eyed head.
Bullwinkle wouldn't have been so happy if he could have seen the 2 seed sellers at that moment.
He fell for it, Natasha.
Hook, line, and antler.
Oh, boy. Wait till that thing starts to come up.
Boris, this is the cheapest, most disgusting, nastiest thing you've ever done. Slimy, dirty, mean. Boris,
Yes?
you're my kind of guy.
The Frostbite Falls High School gym was a lovely sight that evening. Beautiful blossoms cascaded their multicolored forms in every nook and cranny. Giant prize vegetables gleamed in harvest splendor. There was only one little mix-up. Somebody had scheduled a basketball game for the same time.
Pass! The ball, stupid.
I hereby give first prize in the melon class to this magnificent cassava.
Jump!
Foul! Free throw!
This is terrible, Bullwinkle.
Yeah, we're trailing by 8 points in a Hubbard squash.
And now for the flower judging.
You better plant that seed quick.
Yeah.
And the moose did just that. Borrowing a large flower pot, he thrust the seed deep into the soil and jumped back. Nothing happened.
Suppose he sold us a dud?
But then the flower pot trembled, there was a furious rumbling noise, and...
Hokey smoke, Bullwinkle, look at that thing.
That's a bean blossom?
Well, it may not have been a bean blossom, but the curious plant was big enough and exotic enough to win first prize.
Congratulations, Bullwinkle.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
You certainly have a green thumb.
Yeah, it's spearmint flavored, too.
Tell me, Your Honor. Hey, where'd he go?
Don't ask me. He was standing right by the flower a minute ago.
Huh.
Well, let's take our enterprise winner home. Gee, it got heavy all of a sudden.
And what's more, Bullwinkle, it's getting bigger.
Yes, as Bullwinkle held the flower pot, the plant grew noticeably larger. Straining every muscle, Bullwinkle was just able to get the plant through the doorway, and even then Rocky had to help.
Gee, I could swear that these leaves were holding onto the door frame.
Whew. Boy, I gotta put it down for a minute.
Hey, you can't leave that there. You're blocking traffic.
But, officer...
He's right, Bullwinkle. Okay, officer, well... Gee, where'd he go?
He was standing right here a second ago and... Rock,
What is it?
does our flower look different to you?
Yeah. If it wasn't just a flower, I'd say...
What?
I'd say it was smiling.
Well, this begins to look more and more sinister. Don't miss our next creepy episode, Bean by a Blossom, or The Petal Pushers.
Hello, poetry lovers. Today's poem is a saga of the Old West called Little Bo Peep. Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep and can't tell where to find them. Leave them alone and they'll come home.
Okay, stranger, get.
Get?
This cowboy for Scram.
Scram? How come?
You on my range, sheepherder.
Sheep herder? I'm Little Bo Peep and those are my sheep.
Your sheep? You got brand on them?
Brand? I wouldn't brand them. They're my little buddies.
Bodies. What kind sheep are bodies?
Friend sheep?
Oh. You got to prove to me they're yours.
Okay, you asked for it.
Oops.
Hey, where you going?
Can't you tell? I'm taking it on the leg!
A question, Chairman. Where is Toronto?
Out on the reservation with the Lone Ranger, Mr. Peabody.
You're close. Actually, Toronto is in Canada, and that is our destination for today.
What great name in history are we going to meet up there?
Constable Archibald Woolley.
Never heard of him.
He was the first Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman. I instructed Sherman to set the Wayback Machine for the year 1869. The place, an outpost in the wilderness territory of Toronto. And before you could say, halt or I'll shoot, we were standing inside the post headquarters watching a very irate Constable Woolley.
What's the matter, Mr. Peabody? He's tearing the place to pieces.
Looking for something, Constable?
Yes, by George, a new job.
You mean you're quitting the Mounties?
Yes, the whole thing's a bust. For my very first case, I'm supposed to bring in Ottawa O'Toole.
Well, bring him in.
I can't.
Why not?
Because of our motto. We always get our man. Ottawa O'Toole is a girl.
Well, I convinced the constable that girl or no girl, Ottawa O'Toole had to be brought in. Following up the latest information as to her whereabouts, we arrived at the Pettigrew Fur Company, only to find it in a complete state of disorder, and a going out of business sign over the main gate.
Trouble here, Pettigrew?
Trouble ain't the word for it. Ottawa O'Toole struck again. She's ruined me.
What did she do this time?
She crossed all my minks with skunks. Now my business stinks.
One good thing came of all this. O'Toole had left a very clear trail. Hoping to head her off before she could commit another atrocity, Constable Woolley took off, but didn't get very far, for Miss O'Toole had set a booby trap.
Yes, and she caught a booby, too.
Undaunted, we picked up the trail anew and followed it to the edge of a dense forest of mighty Saskatchewan spruce. There on a tree was a wanted poster. Look, Sherman.
Wanted, Ottawa O'Toole and her two sisters, Hermione and Gingold.
This unfortunately gave the constable an idea.
If only I could find two ladies and talk them into posing as O'Toole's sisters, I'd put them in jail, and when she came to break them out, I'd have her.
Unfortunately, ladies were hard to come by in the wilderness, so the constable did what he considered to be the next best thing.
How come I have to wear a bonnet, Mr. Peabody?
Because most girls don't have cowlick, Sherman. We were locked up in the nearest jail and awaited developments which were soon to come. As Constable Woolley had figured, Ottawa O'Toole took the bait.
Look, Hermione, a rock with a note tied to it.
Suppressing the urge to throttle Sherman, I instead read the note. Sisters, I will take care of the Mountie and have you out in a jiffy, signed Ottawa. It seems as though she means the constable bodily harm.
Yeah, we better warn him. Constable, come here, hurry.
Be with you in a moment. Someone's at the door.
But that's what we want to...
Good evening, madam.
We're still locked up. How's she going to get us out?
Just then there was a tap at the window. A hand thrust its way through the bars and dropped a long, thin object at Sherman's feet.
A burning candle, Mr. Peabody.
That is not a candle.
Are you sure?
Positive. When we came to, we were trussed up in the back of a speeding buckboard, heading into a remote area. Our driver was obviously the fiendishly clever Ottawa. Also, obviously, she had discovered the ruse and was out to dispose of us.
I'm awful hungry, Mr. Peabody. Mind if I eat my jelly beans?
What jelly beans? I ripped a hole in your pocket, and you've been dropping them at the rate of 3 beans per quarter mile.
What did you do that for?
To provide a trail for Constable Woolley. Sure enough, a scant 400 feet behind was the redoubtable constable, not only following the trail, but eating it as well. It was almost sundown when Ottawa O'Toole brought the buckboard to a stop at the edge of a lofty precipice.
How come she's stopping here, Mr. Peabody?
Obviously, she intends to push the buckboard and us over. But before she could do so...
Ottawa O'Toole, you're under arrest.
Good work, Mr. Constable. Tie her up.
I can't do it. We always get our man, not our woman. This isn't cricket.
O'Toole would have escaped had it not been for my superior powers of deduction. So grabbing a nearby rock...
You can't hit a lady, Mr. Peabody.
She's no lady, Sherman.
The disgrace of it all. Capturing a woman instead of a man.
Ah, but you did get your man. Observe! Ottawa O'Toole was a man disguised as a woman.
Bravo! Hear, hear, and all that, Tommy Rot.
Gee, how did you know Ottawa was a man?
Because she had 5 o'clock shadow at 3:30.
That Constable Woolley sure is a great policeman.
Very true, but he became even a better actor.
He did? I never heard of him as an actor.
Well, of course you have, Sherman. Surely everybody's heard of Mountie Woolley?
Bullwinkle won first prize at the Frostbite Falls Flower Fair, but now it seems that his entry is getting a little out of hand.
I wonder what kind of plant it really is, Bullwinkle.
Who cares? It's a winner.
A winner it may have been, but in the days that followed, Bullwinkle began to wonder if a blue ribbon was worth it.
Hey! Who took my flower out of its pot and planted it here?
Not me.
Well, it didn't get out by itself. Did it?
I don't know, but we gotta find out more about it. I don't like the looks of that flower.
It speaks very highly of you.
As fate would have it, an expert appeared on the scene at that very moment.
You're the fellas with the oddball flower?
Yeah, who you?
I'm from the FPI.
The FBI?
No, FPI, Federal Plant Inspector.
A plant inspector?
J. Edgar Bloomer is the name.
Glad you're here, Inspector. Just how would you classify this plant?
I'd classify it top secret.
A top secret flower?
You mean we got a hush-hush hollyhock?
Boys, this is the only living example in this country of the Pottsylvania creeper.
Pottsylvania creeper?
Look here.
Hokey smoke! It says here that the Pottsylvania creeper is a vicious man-eating plant.
Oh, now that's ridiculous. Isn't it, Mr. Bloomer? Mr. Bloomer?
Where'd he go?
Hey, Rock.
Huh?
The flower. It's smiling again.
That does it! Bullwinkle, we're gonna cut it down!
Cut it down? My prize-winning whatever it is?
A Pottsylvania creeper.
Wonder why they call it a creeper.
Who cares? Give me that axe.
But as Rocky grabbed the axe, he found out why they called it a creeper.
Jumpin' G-horse that! It's creeping away!
Sure enough, the enormous plant began to skulk swiftly around the end of the house. Rocky started to chop, but in vain. So fast was the plant growing that he couldn't chop 2 times in the same place. Bullwinkle attempted to tackle the galloping vine, but it simply dragged him along the ground.
Look out, Rock! Here it comes again!
Sure enough, the enormous blossom had gone completely around the house and was sneaking up from behind on our little furry hero. There was nothing to do but run for it.
Run for it!
I already heard the man!
Into town dashed the panicky squirrel and moose.
Hi there, Bullwinkle. What's the rush?
We're being chased by a man-eating plant!
Well, ask a foolish question, you get a foolish...
Now, wait just a second, Bullwinkle.
Okay, Rock. That's long enough. Come on!
But, Bullwinkle, we owe something to our town, our own community. We owe something to this country of ours.
Rock, this is no time to worry about taxes.
No, Bullwinkle, I'm going to go back and face that thing, whatever it is.
But why?
I'm a TV-type hero is why.
I wonder if these things ever happened on radio. Rock, I say,
But the moose was talking to empty air, for the plucky squirrel was zooming back in the direction they had come from.
Gee, I don't see it anymore. Maybe it's just a false alarm. Maybe it isn't a man-eater. Maybe this is the last episode.
And it might be at that, for Rocky was entangled in the leafy vine-like clutch of the fearful Pottsylvania creeper. Meanwhile, on a nearby hillside...
Well, that does it, Natasha.
Squirrel is kaput.
When the creeper grabs them, they stays grabbed. This will show fearless leader who's smarter, him or me.
Well, which is bad enough?
Him, you.
Fearless leader here? But I thought we had laws against that kind of thing.
You fool! Laws only keep out honest people.
What do you mean?
If you're a crook, you sneak in anyway.
But...
Don't miss our next controversial episode, Vacation Days, or Visit to a Small Panic.
And now for a more serious note on our program, we bring you the Poetry Corner.
Hello there, poetry lovers. Today's poem is the well-known favorite, The Swing by Robert Louis Stevenson. How do you like to go up in a swing? Up in the air so blue. Oh, I do think it the pleasantest thing every child can do. Up in the air and over the wall, till I can see so wide. Rivers and trees and cattle and all over the countryside, till I look down on the garden green, down on the roof so brown. Up in the air I go flying again, up in the air and down. How do you like to go up in a swing? Up in the air so blue? Oh, I do think it the pleasantest thing ever a child can do.